When Margot Robbie pitched Barbie to Warner Brothers, she actually compared it to Jurassic Park. What do you get when you pair a visionary director with a big idea? Spielberg and dinosaurs? You get a massive box office hit. She told them with Greta Gerwig and Barbie, they were going to make $1 billion. The movie may have caused an international shortage of pink paint, but Robbie turned out to be right and changed Hollywood's idea of what kind of movie was going to save the box office. We're talking all about it this week in Kaden's Movie Club. The amount of people going to movies had been on a steady decline since 2002. Then 2020 happened and it seemed like it might be a nail in the coffin. The primary demographic that Hollywood was relying on to bring the box office back was men between the ages of 18 and 35, because that's who showed up for your typical blockbuster. In Barbie's opening weekend, about 69% of ticket buyers were women. Barbie would end 2023 as the highest grossing movie that year with a total around $1.5 billion, pardon me, barbillion dollars. If you're looking for other movies that had both a strong box office and a strong female audience, you're going to find The Hunger Games and Twilight. There's probably a bunch of reasons why women wanted to see these movies, but studios probably thought it was romantic fantasy. So it might have been surprising when Barbie comes along as a satirical fantasy that goes out of its way to show that Barbie is not in love with Ken. We definitely can't ignore the incredible online culture moment that led up to the movie. Apparently this first occurred on Twitter when somebody noticed that Barbie and Oppenheimer were opening on the same day and simply said, Barbenheimer. Studios probably thought of these movies as counter-programming, but both were highly anticipated from respected directors, so Barbenheimer became a double feature event. The memes were endless. People were dressing up, buying t-shirts, all revolving around the idea of seeing Barbie and Oppenheimer on the same day. In their wildest dreams, the studios could not have made up a better marketing scheme, but this was entirely done by the public on their own. But if you wanted a colorful, poppy, funny movie, you should see Barbie. And if you wanted something with deep themes and emotions relevant to our current society, you should also see Barbie. This isn't a dig at Oppenheimer, but I am trying to highlight that while Barbenheimer got butts in seats, I believe the movie had staying power because it delivered something people weren't expecting. Barbie is heavily influenced by lots of classic movies. For instance, this opening scene is a great reference to 2001: A Space Odyssey. The plot itself is reminiscent of things like The Wizard of Oz, Pinocchio, and even Planet of the Apes. You know your boy Kaden loves Planet of the Apes. We start off in Barbie Land. Naturally, the Barbies are in charge of Barbie Land. There's all kinds of Barbies, but we follow stereotypical Barbie. The Barbie you think of when someone says Barbie. Everything is perfect for Barbie because the world is built for her, but since Ken's purpose is to be a companion to Barbie, he's only really happy if he's getting attention from Barbie. But one day, things suddenly aren't perfect for Barbie. She has thoughts of dying, cellulite, and flat feet.
Do you guys ever think about dying?
She learns from an oracle-type character known as Weird Barbie that it's because the girl that's playing with her must be having these kinds of thoughts. See, the Barbies live in their fantasy land under the impression that because their world is perfect, the real world must be perfect for the women they've inspired. The girl playing with Barbie is not only threatening to make Barbie not perfect, but could potentially destroy Barbie Land. So stereotypical Barbie has to journey to the real world to fix it. She also reluctantly brings Ken along. When they get to the real world, it's very different from Barbie Land, and this is where we get a bit of that Planet of the Apes vibe. Remember when Taylor arrives on a mysterious planet that turns out to be a reversal of the society he knows? Apes are the dominant species and humans live in cages. Well, Barbie is Taylor. She gets to this mysterious world, and instead of a world run by Barbies, it's a world run by Kens. And by Ken, we mean men. They immediately start catcalling Barbie, turning her into an object, and in general, disrespecting her. There's a really key scene here. Barbie sits on a bench to think about what to do next. The real world has already shown its ugly side to her, but in this quiet moment, she feels the difference between her ideal world and this imperfect one.
How? Like calling a lunatic that's not even making a break. I don't know what you're talking about.
There's an inherent beauty in the way people carry on despite the imperfection. She sees this and has her first genuine emotional experience. Barbie thinks if she can find the girl she's connected with, she'll be able to solve everything. But when she meets Sasha, she has to learn the difficult reality that not everybody loves Barbie.
Aren't you guys gonna thank me and give me a big hug? For being your favorite toy?
We haven't played with Barbie since we were like 5 years old.
Sasha says women hate Barbie because she encourages unrealistic beauty standards. She's a pawn for commercialism, even that she's a fascist.
He thinks I'm a fascist? I don't control the railways or the flow of commerce?
It's a pivotal moment for Barbie because she's always believed she was made to inspire women, and now she's being told she was just made to make money, or even worse, to hurt women. And this really becomes the central question of the movie. What was I made for? While Barbie is doing all that, Ken is off learning how men run things in this world. And because he's like a child or even like an alien here, he comes away with a comically simplistic idea of patriarchy, which to him is that men and horses run everything. Barbie eventually learns that the girl playing with her is not actually Sasha, but Sasha's mom, Gloria. Gloria was doing so to comfort herself because she and Sasha used to play with them together, but lately Sasha has been a grumpy teenager. The CEO of Mattel and his army of executives are trying to put Barbie back in her box, literally. So Gloria and Sasha help her escape back to Barbie Land. But when they arrive, Barbie Land has been changed into Kendom. Dun dun dun.
This is no longer Barbie's dream house. This shall henceforth be known as Ken's Mojo Dojo Casa House.
With her perfect world shattered, Barbie is almost ready to give up.
Barbie Land was perfect before. I was perfect before.
But Gloria talks about why it's difficult being a woman in the world she comes from. In other words, why being a woman is difficult within the structure her society has provided.
I'm just so tired of watching myself and every single other woman tie herself into knots so that people will like us.
This snaps Barbie out of her despair, so she, Sasha, and Gloria rescue the rest of the Barbies from Kendom by doing the same thing, which is...
By giving voice to the cognitive dissonance required to be a woman under the patriarchy, you robbed it of its power.
This allows the Barbies to regain control of Barbie Land because it results in all of the Kens fighting each other. Now for the bulk of the movie, stereotypical Ken has been a dumb guy. Most of the Kens have been. But that's not because the movie is saying all women are great, all men are dumb. The reason Ken is the way he is comes back to the central question, what was I made for? Ken's answer his whole life has been, I was made to be with Barbie. And when she doesn't fulfill that need for him, he ends up resentful. Basically, being a Ken is difficult within the structure of this society because that society tells him what he was made for. When Ken is able to realize that being Ken isn't the things he has, but just who he is as a person.
Ken is me.
Ken is me. Ken is me. Ken is me.
He's able to let go of all that resentment and need for validation. He doesn't need to control Barbie or anyone else because he's Ken-enough on his own. But let's get back to stereotypical Barbie. She saved Barbie Land, helped Ken to overcome his issues, and helped rebuild the relationship between Sasha and Gloria. How does her story end? Well, the idea of being perfect has lost its appeal after all that Barbie has gone through. So she gets to have a special meeting with her creator, Ruth, the inventor of Barbie. And Barbie decides that she wants to live in the real world. Ruth agrees to grant that wish, but before Barbie makes that decision, she needs to understand what exactly it means. With this montage, Barbie is able to get a glimpse of what being human, and specifically being a woman, is going to be like.
I don't know how to feel, but I wanna try.
There's a lot of uncertainty, but there's also a lot of joy. And then there's a lot of in-between with pain and joy mixed together. It's a myriad of experiences, and that's what Barbie has to choose to accept, as we all do. The movie doesn't really answer the question, what was I made for? That's up to Barbie to decide, that's up to Ken to decide, and that's up to you to decide. It does point out that we shouldn't be letting made-up societal structure tell us what we were made for. And by the way, yes, I do realize the irony of me standing in front of my TV to explain the Barbie movie. I'm literally the Ken that wants to explain movies.
This movie is a rich blend of Coppola's aesthetic genius and a triumph to Robert Evans and the architecture of the 70s studio system.
I think the audiences showed up to Barbie for the fun of it, but came back with family and friends because of the very human message at its core. And it signaled to Hollywood that certain neglected demographics are willing to turn all kinds of movies into blockbusters. And all 4 of our movies this month made their mark on how Hollywood perceived the idea of a summer blockbuster. Jaws was the first movie to create a cultural moment. It also changed what kinds of movies could draw in a massive audience. It didn't have to be a prestige film, it could be a movie about ordinary people in an extraordinary situation. Star Wars demonstrated that there were truly no genre limits on what could be a blockbuster. Star Wars combined elements from so many different influences that a lot of people thought it was a mess. But it turned out to be a sci-fi fantasy epic that would define multiple generations of blockbuster movies. Jurassic Park signaled a technological revolution. CGI would change movies forever. Audiences and filmmakers now knew that depicting anything on screen was possible. And with that, the knowledge that spectacle could bring in a true global audience. Barbie came at a time where many feared the movie industry as we know it is dying. The evidence seems to suggest that people aren't willing to spend hard-earned cash to sit in a movie theater anymore. Not unless it's for superheroes or sequels or movies that specifically appeal to young men. Barbie didn't single-handedly save the film industry, but it did provide a shot of adrenaline. It gave some counter-evidence to what kinds of stories can be blockbusters and what kinds of audiences can still create them. For better or worse, since 1975, the film industry has been focused on engineering the next box office hit. But I think the silver lining is that something always comes along to reinvent our perception of what kinds of movies will make people want to keep watching them. And if you want to have your say in what that next big thing will be, you can make your voice heard in a very direct way, by putting your butt in a theater seat. Studios will always follow the money, so if you want to see a wider range of movies, you need to go see a wide range of movies. And as always with Kaden's Movie Club, we like to discuss movies like a book club would. So I'd love to hear what you think about our movies this month, what you thought about blockbusters, and anything else. So let's discuss it in the comments. But for now, that concludes our July movie club. I'll be announcing the movie lineup and theme for August tomorrow, so stay tuned. And if you want to stay in the know about movie club, you know where to go.